Well, to the story now, more than half of the children under 18 in South Africa are accessing and watching pornographic material online. That is according to a recent study by the Youth Research Unit of Unisa. Now, more than 55% of those surveyed watch porn on a regular basis via their mobile phones or on tablets using free Wi-Fi at school. Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga was questioned recently in Parliament about the measures her department is taking to ensure that children do not access this kind of material on devices provided by schools. So to speak to us a little bit more about this, I'm joined now by Basic Education Department spokesperson Mhlanga. Elijah, a very good morning to you. What is almost disheartening and quite shocking is the fact that we actually have to talk about how is it that children are accessing porn. That in itself should not be something that we should be conversing. But yet we are here as a country, aren't we? How do we let this happen?
Good morning, Faith. Well, it starts in the home. I mean, it's the discussion that we have in the home with our children when we buy them expensive devices that we use with them to communicate, and we give them to take to school. And when in school, then they use it for all sorts of purposes. Because if you read that study, you will see that some of the access is done through mobile devices, which they have from home to school. But when they get to school, we have also provided ICT connectivity, which is what the country has been calling for, that we need to do as much as we can as a sector in basic education to provide connectivity for learning in terms of the modern times where ICT is part and parcel of learning. So instead of using them for learning only, they then use them for other purposes.
Yeah, but you know, I was also reading the study, Elijah, and it was actually showcasing how even children as young as 5 are accessing porn and they watch porn regularly. That in itself says that there's a serious societal breakdown that we need to actually start tackling. Because it's one thing to have a cell phone. I remember times where phones were used just to make sure that you call your parents after school so that they can fetch you, or for that kind of almost shallow communication. But now it's not used to, you know, research work topics or research school topics. It's used for other nefarious kind of reasons. How do we even stop this? You know, is it to take away the devices from children, but then how do the parents access their kids, especially for emergencies? Is it going back to the drawing board about the societal construct? I'm just trying to find, how do we fix without just putting a plaster on the issue?
Yeah, we start by fixing the mind. It's all in the mindset. We need to change behavior. So what we've tried to do in basic education is to teach about the dangers of pornography in the life orientation and life skills subjects, which we have in school. So one of the most disappointing facts is that when we were talking about comprehensive sexuality education, people focused on sex and sexuality and forgot that we're actually talking about the dangers of pornography in there. So when they opposed, they also opposed this particular aspect of our effort at trying to address this particular societal matter, which you have so correctly mentioned. So we say from the school point of view, we talk to children about the dangers of accessing inappropriate material, which could result in other behaviors developed. So we are saying it cannot be like that. But at the same time, we have developed e-safety guidelines as part of creating an environment where all our schools know what to do. It's a comprehensive 72-page document which we have given to our schools. We've defined all the terms. We talk about bullying there. We talk about trolling. We talk about all these things that are there in the ICT space in terms of what learners need to be aware of and how parents should help them, and how schools, how all role players should work together to make sure that we all teach our children about the dangers of the good technology that we have in front of us, which is meant to assist our schooling system to improve. But now we find that some learners are using it for wrong purposes.
Yeah, you know, 55% of young people actually watching porn regularly. As I said, every time I read out the statistics, one can't help but actually feel a little bit anxious about the type of future we are breeding? Have we actually communicated the long-term effects of this? And is it not time now to start becoming more aggressive, especially when it comes to life orientation and all these classes and addressing some of these, pertinent issues? It does not help, Elijah, that we keep saying that we're a conservative society if our children are involving themselves in dangerous activity which will actually hamper themselves in the long run as adults. We can pretend we are conservative, but that's going to have ramifications at the end of the day.
You are absolutely correct. So we went aggressive when we started with the comprehensive sexuality education because these were the matters that were tackling there. And there was opposition from some quarters. And we said it cannot be that we would continue to bury our heads in the sand and hope that our children will just be safe somehow without a deliberate intervention by all of us. So we continue with our workshops around the country. We are workshopping parents, we are workshopping school management teams, school governing body members, and parents in general about all these matters that have got to do with their children. Because it's not just about bullying, it's not just about pornography, it's also about HIV and AIDS among our children. It's also about the learner pregnancy that is shocking us all the time that we also need to deal with. All these things are connected. So if we were to see them as such, that's why from our sector as basic education, we say it's comprehensive because we mean exactly that. Think of it as a life matter for your child and yourself. You need a skill that you require for you to be able to interact with your children about complex matters like this one. So don't oppose, rather come and listen and find a way to support the effort of the department, because on its own, the department is in no position to resolve all these matters. That's why even the e-safety document that I'm talking about, it mentions and implicates other stakeholders as well that must come on board and help us deal with this matter in a way that will make a real change so that we safeguard the future of our children.
Very quickly before we let you go, how do parents implement the basic, the minimum, in trying to protect their children from this kind of content?
The first thing is conversation. We need to talk about them. I mean, I gave you a device, but what are you going to use it for? So it should be used for the right purpose. We need to keep reminding them about the dangers and the implications of the things that we are doing. Of course, we know there's peer pressure. We talk about peer pressure as well in the curriculum. So we really need to have those conversations. The first and the most important thing is to open the communication lines between us and our children. That way, the first step has been taken towards doing the right thing.
Yeah, Elijah, I'm hoping that it's not the last time we have a conversation of this matter. As we said, we cannot pretend that we're a conservative society if our children are being exposed to such content every single day. 55% of young people are watching porn regularly. It's absolutely, it's gobsmacking at this stage. Spokesperson for the Basic Education Department, Elijah Mhlanga.